Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, we have a really special guest. We have with us Ron Lusk, who is the CEO of a couple of amazing companies up in Bend, Oregon, right? Tell us about those companies.
Well, we have Prism, which is a management company. We have Green 360, which sells CBD on the market. And then we have Bend Solutions Group, which helps companies sell CBD on the market.
All right, and you also are part of a foundation called TrueCBD.org.
TrueCBD.org, and that's exciting to me today.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to talk a little bit about that. And
Okay.
True is spelled T-R-U, so it's TrueCBD.org. Now, CBDs are something that I think everybody is starting to know about, and of course a lot of people want to just hear about it. As a matter of fact, Scott, our engineer, just mentioned that a little bit ago, that he was wondering if CBDs would be good for his fingers. And tell us, let's just sort of start at the beginning. What does that mean? What is a CBD?
CBD is a derivative of cannabis, which is non-psychoactive or psychotropic. To the layperson, it's the medicine side of the cannabis plant, but you get no high from it. So
Okay.
it's strictly inert in that sense.
Okay, so when we talk about the cannabis plant, we actually have a marijuana plant, and then we have the hemp plant. They're sort of cousins, I guess,
That's
right?
correct,
Or sisters
yeah.
or brothers or something. But now, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the marijuana plant has what's called THC, and that's the part that gives you a high or a psychedelic kind of a feeling, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They've identified 280 plus strains of cannabis, and
Wow.
only one is THC. So it's a very complex plant that has incredible medicinal value. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the hemp plant, which is the part that has tiny traces of THC, which really isn't going to really affect you, but it has high amounts of CBD, which is the part that really helps a lot of people medically, right?
Absolutely. It came out probably 6-7 years ago, a YouTube called Weed, which Sanjay Gupta did the investigative work on. And they basically came up with seizures. Adolescent seizures was the focus of Weed.
Yeah.
Never before had adolescent children with multiple occurring seizures in a day been able to learn. Their capacity to learn was diminished by the drugs they were on. And they introduced CBD oil, and they called Charlotte's Web because patient 0 was Charlotte. And Charlotte's Web completely took away her adolescent seizure symptoms within 24 hours. And it revolutionized how seizures were treated for kids. And then it's expanded since then from oil to isolate to soluble CBDs, treating pain as a symptom, but not so much a pain reliever as much as an anti-inflammatory medicine, which most pain is caused from, inflammation.
That's sort of the root of all diseases,
It
inflammation,
is.
right?
It is, and that's what CBD is really probably the most known for. But it actually has the ability to influence anxiety because it deals with the receptors in the brain. It causes a transference of the brain-blood barrier. It goes right through. So like so many medicines can't penetrate the brain-blood barrier, CBD does.
Yeah.
And that's a very important thing. So anxiety, PTSD, fibromyalgia, Sjogren's, lupus have all had incredible amount of influence from CBD. Yeah.
Very interesting. You mentioned Dr. Gupta, who is a very good friend of a friend of mine. Actually, somebody that you met recently, and that was just a remarkable turnaround because he was really opposed to the whole idea, and now he's become its biggest proponent, I think.
I think, you know, where it comes from is I think a lot of Americans are looking to own more and more of their health care.
Yeah.
Just as we can't seem to work with this health care package in Congress, we've got hospitals not wanting to give it up. We've got doctors not wanting to give it up. We've got pharmaceutical companies not wanting to give it up, but who ends up giving it up is the American public.
Yeah.
And so more and more I think people are starting to generate, what can I do to stay healthy apart from traditional medicine? And what Gupta learned, and he was a big part of Western medicine, was there are tremendous alternatives out there that have been suppressed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I have a friend that his daughter, who's an adult daughter, but she had one of those horse accidents very similar to what Christopher Reeve, the Superman guy, had. And she was having a number of seizures every single day. So they moved out here because they thought that the climate would be better, the desert climate. But it's really CBDs is what changed her life, and as I understand it, she's been seizure-free now for quite a number of months, and because of CBDs. And it's amazing for seizures, right? That's one of the biggest things.
It's absolutely life-changing. But I will say this, that not only is it non-addictive or in any way, in order to stay seizure-free, you've got to stay on the CBDs. You actually revert back, almost like the movie Awakenings back in the 80s. You revert back to your seizure state if you get off of
really?
CBDs.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what they found.
Well, it's not a big thing to stay on them, right? It's easy to do.
Very easy.
So if somebody's out there that's watching us right now that has a medical issue, how would they find out? How could they get CBDs, first of all?
Okay. You can get CBD in a lot of places on the net.
Okay.
You won't have a doctor prescribe them, but you'll find it by Googling, basic CBD and stroke recovery, CBD and Parkinson's, etc. You'll find CBD. Sourcing is not hard. Not all CBD is good CBD. You've got to know what you're looking for and what you're trying to produce. But I would have people call truecbd.org.
Okay.
I can absolutely refer them in the right direction, not to people I have a financial interest in, but to people that can really help them. And if you have family members who suffer from other diseases, Google CBD and that disease and see what the protocol would be. And I'm happy to refer you to people who are educated in that area.
Oh, very good. So truecbd.org, that's truecbd.org. So if I go to that website, what am I going to find there?
You're going to find basically a foundation that's new.
Okay.
And the purpose of the foundation is not to give a good housekeeping stamp of approval on products, but rather to create a benchmark, a nonprofit benchmark for people to know that if they do CBD, what that CBD contains, whether it's farming practices all the way up to processing, extraction, the way it's sold, etc. They know exactly what they're getting into. And right now, because it's so popular, there's not a watchdog that's watching from a regulatory perspective. And because of that, you have CBD all over the board. People don't know what they're taking.
Yeah.
And so it's our feeling that people should know what they take and why they take it. Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot of changes coming in the regulation world, just because it's starting to get be such a popular thing. But what do you foresee happening in the near future?
I think even though it's a Schedule I drug, and there are many opinions about why it's a Schedule I drug, it is. And so I think in the next 2 to 5 years we'll start to see the public completely embrace it, because it's a wonderful medicine and you don't have the side effects. The body has an ECS system built in, which is called an endocannabinoid system. Every doctor knows that. Within the ECS system, when you put synthetic drugs in the body goes, you're not supposed to be here. So I'm gonna flurry off side effects, or I'm gonna flurry off assimilation problems. With CBD, the body says, oh, wait a second, you're supposed to be in here. So you're not seeing overdosing, you're not seeing side effects or assimilation issues. The medicine goes in. And that's, I think, a huge proponent to having people really be able to take good stuff.
Well, I know that you can go online you can go to Walmart.com or you can go to Amazon.com and purchase many different kinds of CBDs. Are there a lot of differences in the different products that are available now, or how would you know which one to take?
That is the quandary.
Okay.
What do you know that you should be taking? It's one thing to buy a product online and say, okay, I'll take CBD. But it's deeper than that. What I would suggest is talk to, for now, a dispensary owner or worker, get some inside information on any product, Google the company, find out what they do, how they process it, what are the ingredients of the processing, and then talk to other people that use the same thing. Some doctors, medical doctors, are cannabis aware. Most are not in terms of CBD. So I'd start with a dispensary. I'd feel frank to call me. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know quite a bit.
Now, when you say dispensary, are there some that are consumer friendly? I think probably a lot of people would think sort of like I'm thinking right now that if it's a dispensary, well, they're marketing marijuana, and I might not even want to walk in there. It might be a little scary. I don't know what to expect if I go into a dispensary.
Right.
Are there other places besides a dispensary, or would I have anything to fear by going in one?
You don't have anything to fear. Personally, it's not a place I would take my kids.
Okay.
It's smelly. It's usually not well done. But they're made for people who are on a medical level or a recreational level that want to experience cannabis. So that's the quandary. Where do I go? And what I would say is come to places like truecbd.org. Feel free to call me. Can I give my number?
Absolutely,
okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm up in Bend, Oregon. My number is 541-647-7790, and I can refer you to a place near you.
Great.
I'd love to do that.
And you probably have some doctors that you've worked with?
Quite a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I loved how you said. How did you say that CBD friendly, or what did you say? They're aware of.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask a doctor, most doctors have less than an hour conversation or education on marijuana.
Yeah.
They're into doing what they do all the time, and that's where they should be. There are cannabis clinics. There are cannabis doctors listed that way, cannabis-friendly doctors. They're far and few between so far. There's and there's places like me, and it's a nonprofit, so nobody's in your pocket.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you had a number of, I think you mentioned 3 other businesses that you head up, and one of them has sort of a dispensary sounding name, the Green 360.
Yeah.
Tell us about that one.
Well, 7 years ago, I was CEOing a company that sold products into dispensaries, and so I left and I started Green 360. And we sell gel caps, and we sell gummy bears, and we sell a lot of products into the dispensaries. I'm happy to say that what I'm doing now with Ben's Solutions Group and with True CBD is non-THC. And my feeling about straight THC is that it's a mixed bag. It puts people in compromising positions. Even though I think there's incredible benefits to it, I also think because of the psychotropic effect that it puts people in an awkward place. And I never want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our culture is lost enough, don't you think? We have 100,000 people a year die from opioid overdose.
Yeah.
We have a lot of needs as a culture, and I think CBD can be a great medicine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're probably about the same age, but I know I grew up in the era when smoking pot and all that was a big thing. I'm sort of proud to say that it's never touched my lips, and I guess I'm too old now to start. But CBD's is different. It's not the same as smoking pot or even having marijuana in a brownie, or I guess you can put it in anything now. But
and that's a really important point.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, CBD can come in an oil, in a skin cream, in a balm, in a night serum. It can come in a lot of different forms. Powder, in juices, in spaghetti sauce, and you can put it on a lot of things. Topically, internally, you can have tinctures, which is an oil that you spray or you put under the tongue. Or you can get fully soluble CBD, which looks like water.
As a matter of fact, I know about a water that has CBDs in it. You can't taste it, you can't see anything, but the CBDs are in there, and you get that beneficial health effect, right, from the From the water.
You do, and it's a wonderful way to take something that you would normally drink, like water, and yet get a medical benefit.
Yeah, well, that's fabulous. Well, are there things that it doesn't work on? Are there any side effects or anything on the negative side at all?
On the negative side, not that I know of. I will say that there are egregious claims being made by people about CBD curing cancer on the first dose, etc., growing your hair back automatically. They're false. It's just not true. They haven't found, even with GW Pharmaceuticals, that it's a direct cure for metastatic or other cancers yet. I do believe that moderation is important, dosing is important, potency matters, and all that should be done with care. And then great things can happen. The body wants to heal, and CBD helps the body want to heal. That's what it does.
That's fabulous. So once again, that website is TRU, T-R-U, CBD.org, not .com, but .org, right?
That's correct.
Well, that's something I think probably all of us should check out and see what we can learn from that website. So, so Ron, you're from Bend, Oregon, and why Bend, Oregon? It's a little snowy up there, isn't it?
It's starting to get there right now. I lived in Los Angeles for many years, and I just decided when I hit 50 years old that I wanted to make a change. I had 2 kids that were young, and I wanted to keep my doors unlocked and live outdoors where the air is absolutely pure and the water is the best in the country. And I found an outdoor life and a very active life, and that matters to me. I'm now 61, and especially now that the best years and the most qualitative years are ahead of me, I want to make sure I'm doing nothing to impede that. And so I love Bend.
Well, you know, Bend is one of those places that it gets really cold there in the winter and a lot of snow, but there's always sunshine, right? And pretty much every single day the sun comes out.
Yeah, that's why people are flocking there.
Yeah.
I don't want to give them the good news. They'll come up.
You get overcrowded, huh?
Yeah, we're on the east side of the Cascades, so we're considered high desert, but you know, we've got a huge ski mountain and rivers and lakes.
Bachelor is there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some of the great skiing is right there.
Yeah, there's a lot of money coming up from California in Bend nowadays. Yeah.
Is it more of a retirement community? Are there a lot of retired people there? Or
no, I think it's like an Aspen. You know, I think it's a young Aspen or a young Jackson Hole. It's a beautiful ski community as well as biking. We have a pro race tour there and bicycles, and we have just a lot of stuff.
You have a river that runs through there, right?
We have the Deschutes River,
Yeah. That's a great whitewater rafting river.
You know quite a bit about it, man.
I've been there a few times. Yeah, Bend's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it. They're going to probably put me out in a basket from Bend. Yeah.
Well, you know, I wouldn't mind living there, except I live in Paradise, and you know, Las Vegas is pretty tough to beat.
Well, I'm having fun.
Yeah, well, it's all about having fun, and if you're having fun, that's wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, well, congratulations on all your businesses. What else do you do? And what are the other 2 businesses? What do you do?
In Prism, we manage assets that we purchase on behalf of companies. So, for instance, we have bought CBD farms.
Oh.
In terms of growth, we've bought processing. We manage that. We put asset managers in place, and then we control the growth of those businesses the way we want them to grow. And then Bend Solutions Group just basically teaches corporations how to include CBD into their current product base. For instance, if you're a fresh juice maker and you're emerging as a company, the challenges for fresh juice are shelf stable, etc. How do we keep it cold? But so they can put in a different product with CBD in that, and all of a sudden they can expand their distribution. So CBD being so popular, these companies aren't in the CBD process; they're in the fresh juice making. So we come in and we help them design and make it work.
You formulate and all those things.
Yeah, product development, right? Yeah.
Well, you know, we were talking on the way over here about our spiritual beliefs, and I know you're a Christian, as am I, and are there any things to consider with CBDs along that line, or any ethical concerns?
I don't have ethical concerns because I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
I think prejudice against marijuana has created a false, and not so false, but a false judgment about CBD. I think it's absolutely amazing. I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
I will say this. I've had a sarcoma in my hip, a cancer, 3 years ago, when I started really doing CBD daily. I just 3 weeks ago, so I apologize for my speech, had a stroke unrelated to CBD. In fact, my surgeon said, I'd like to introduce you to CBD as part of your recovery, because we found in stroke recovery CBD to be fantastic.
And he didn't know you were in the business?
He had no idea.
Wow.
So right now I'm living day to day in a brand new world of stroke recovery. I am passionate about CBD, or I wouldn't be in Vegas right now, because as you know, I can not walk easily. It's hard for me to walk still. But if I have a chance to carry the message that CBD is an alternative for people to use on a daily basis, it's not expensive, as you would think. I'm there to do it. It's important to me.
So, what kind of expense is it? What if you're going to take CBDs? First of all, how much should we take every day, and how much would that cost us?
I think the daily recommended dose across the board, without looking at specific disease protocol, would be 25 milligrams. And 25 milligrams is a small enough amount that you're probably $10 a day, $5 a day. Yeah. That's a latte.
Yeah.
You know, if people would just go from spending a lot of money on cigarettes or lattes and throw it into CBD, they'd be so far ahead of the game.
Well, you know, you're in this business. You could probably put CBDs in lattes. Not a bad idea.
Oh my goodness, am I glad I'm in Vegas.
Now, if you do that, just remember
referral fee.
But CBDs are in a lot of things, right? You mentioned gummy bears, and I guess all kinds of food products, a lot of things, right?
Yeah, and although the newness is still there with CBD, and the education upside is still there for CBD, corporate America is catching the wave. You know, they want to do good stuff, I believe, and they want to do good stuff that sells even more.
Yeah.
And so as they see their marketplace grow, because people are getting better with it, they want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have that we haven't talked about yet?
Probably that it requires smoking. Yeah. I've heard that over and over and over. Do you have to smoke it like you would marijuana? No, you don't. I mean, you can. I know people that vape CBD because they don't want the carcinogens of smoking a marijuana joint. They do that, but by and large, it's either used topically on skin or ingested into the body through the mouth.
So you can actually put it on your skin, and it'll go through the skin,
right,
and do all the things it needs to do.
Yeah, oil's much better than the soluble for that. But if it's the right oil and it's again processed correctly, it should drop through the transdermal fairly fast. And within an hour, you'll notice something. You'll start to feel. The problem with patches and some of the other technologies is the time lapse between feeling better and using are sometimes 7 to 12 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, if I don't experience pain, or I don't have anything that I can really think about that's a medical condition, should I still have? Would it do preventive things for me, or should I still think about taking CBDs?
I think it should be taken because you have a disease or you have an injury
Okay.
or you have an event. But I'm hearing rumors from a lot of different people that CBD is good for weight loss.
Wow.
Now, I wouldn't have thought so. I had no connection. I haven't done the homework on that, so I probably shouldn't have said that. But I hear a lot of people talking about weight loss. So if you Google CBD and weight loss, you'll know as much as I do.
Well, that's interesting. You know, I know that going back to the era when I grew up, you always would hear about people that would smoke pot, that they would get the munchies and they'd be eating a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so CBDs is not like that.
No, you have absolutely no effect that you would have from marijuana use when you take CBD. In fact, many people, they wait for something to happen catastrophic, like getting high.
Yeah.
And when they don't know if it's working. And that's where some education comes into play. Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I know that you know, if you go back to in the history of our country, CBDs, you know, the hemp plant was a big part of it. As a matter of fact, George Washington, our first president, was a hemp farmer, right?
Yep.
And they made most of the clothing. You know, the textile industry was all about hemp, and it was probably I guess the biggest crop that we had at the time, and it's sort of coming back full circle, isn't it?
Well, in '37, Rockefeller and Hearst were the empire builders of the paper industry, and they were afraid that hemp was going to come in and threaten that, and so they hired, as many power brokers do, Mr. Arnslinger to come into as a drug czar, and he made it illegal in '37. And then the government has kind of made marijuana off the charts. They wouldn't fund research. They didn't want to. So around the world, you've seen research and growth of the plant, the education. In America, we've been stifled because of our drug industry, because of our medical structures, and because that sort. But really, hemp has been around for hundreds of years. Yeah. It's a weed. It's a noxious weed.
Yeah, it grows as a weed almost all over the world, right?
And it's voracious. You know, where it hits, it hits. That's why marijuana farmers don't like hemp farmers, because the hemp seed comes into a marijuana field and kills it.
Oh, yeah.
Kills it.
Kind of takes it over.
It takes it over. That's correct.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So what else don't we know about this magical plant?
Wow, I think there's so much. I think there's so much to be known still.
Yeah.
We've discovered hundreds of strains that were not known 6-7 years ago. I remember Rick Simpson. Have you heard that? RSO? Have you heard that term?
No.
Rick Simpson was out of California, and he came up with an oil that had some THC but a lot of CBD, and nobody had heard anything of it. And that's only 10 years ago. So CBD's new. And we're just now getting research from institutional research through the universities, landmark universities, that land grant universities, that allow this plant to be really explored. But until now, it's just been private money and private people saying, I want to learn more.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody to put their thinking cap on and learn some. Learn it on your own. You don't need to be sold it. You'll sell yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give people 3 weeks of daily dosage of CBD. They'll never not go back. They'll never go back. No.
Powerful statement.
Well, it's a powerful medicine.
Yeah.
It's a powerful medicine.
Well, you know, it's just a matter of time, I would imagine, when the big pharma companies will sort of try to control that whole industry, right? Or is it too late? Maybe there's too many small guys and too many people that you know, understand the health benefits, and for that to happen. What do you think?
No, I think I do believe that there is a threat of pharma and tobacco.
Yeah.
A lot of the land, a lot of the processing and farming is through those two entities. New money.
Actually, you're right. The big tobacco companies, right? They've got to diversify. And
that's right.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, what separates a cigarette from another cigarette? I mean, really.
Yeah.
You've got nicotine, you've got your other carcinogens. Imagine having a CBD cigarette. I mean, for tobacco, it's a brand new product industry. And the same thing with pharmaceutical. They do not want CBD to be mainstream, because you would lose a lot of aspirin. You'd lose a lot of your what ails you. Take this ability. I mean, it's a fabulous medicine.
Wow, amazing.
So, yeah. And I will say the government's not been forthwith in really challenging the pharmaceutical hold on things. So you've had a lot of drugs around the world suppressed and put through amazing FDA trials, knowing they were good, until the pharmaceutical people bought up and owned the drug, and then all of a sudden went to market.
Wow, amazing. Well, let's talk a little bit about you now. You live up in Bend, Oregon, and I'm assuming you don't live alone. Tell us about your family.
I have a son who's 22, Andrew, who's finishing college, and I have a daughter who's a third-year doctorate student at George Fox in psychology.
In Newburgh, yeah.
I have a wife of a long time who I love dearly. My family is very important to me. That's why I live in Bend, actually. It's hard to make money in Bend unless you bring it there. It's a small ski town. So I take my faith and I take my business. Most of my business is not even in Oregon. It's in other states. And I treat it with care. And that's the way I live my life. I'm physically very active. I work out 5 days a week. I watch what I eat. I think rest is as much a medicine as CBD. I think rest is powerful for the body to rejuvenate. And Bend is a beautiful place for that. So,
well, being happy is such an important part of one's health. And what do you think is the secret to happiness?
Wow. I think wholehearted living. I think removing shame. I see a lot of men are terrorized by shame, their past, and fear. You know, they live in fear. I do not live in fear. The one thing I would say is I've made the distinction between religion and spirituality, and I love the path I'm on. It's the most honest for me I've been. And so I think taking all the wreckage and setting it off to the side, moving forward quick, is the key to happiness.
The faster the better. Recognizing it quickly.
Yes.
Moving forward quickly.
Yeah, you don't have to wait till 61 years old like me.
And so this wonderful wife that you have, what's her name?
Wendy.
Wendy.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you could pick one thing about Wendy that you admire most, what would that be?
She is absolutely the rock of my life. There's nothing we do that's separate. There's no secrets. I'm okay with her, and she's okay with me. And she makes decisions very slowly, which is a perfect inverse to me. So she's the
grounded,
stable one, and by the way, the kids are amazing because of Wendy. So she's an amazing mom. Yeah.
That's fabulous. And your two kids, real quickly, just give us one thing for each of them.
Well, my son loves to hike, and he's very much of an individualist, and I love that. He's very much his own thinker. He's not a follower. My daughter, who is a superstar, is finishing her doctorate 4.0. She's an amazing young woman.
Wow.
Very much of a driver. Where he's less of a driver, he's much more of a contemplative man. So I love them both for very different reasons. Yeah, they're not cookie cutter at all.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So you've been in Bend for how many years?
23.
Oh, well, a long time then. You've seen a lot of changes there.
Well, some of it was part-time.
Okay.
You know, we just come up, but 18 years full-time. Yeah, we've seen a lot change.
You moved out of Los Angeles, you said, right?
Yeah. Not soon enough.
Yeah, good place for business, probably a lot of people there, but whole different lifestyle.
Whole different lifestyle. Yeah, we moved up to Bend, and we bought 5 acres outside of Bend. We have a beautiful home, all for $179,000.
My goodness.
Yeah, we have a pretty place. And I have a puppy of 10 weeks, a black
Really?
lab puppy who has absolutely scarred me to death. His little nibbles.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to be buried in Bend. I'll have other places that I like to spend time with, but I always have a home base to go back to. I'm sure it's like you with Vegas. You know, we always come back someplace,
Yeah.
and Bend's that for
Well,
me.
home is where the people you love are. You know, that's
That
probably
is true.
That's probably the biggest part of it.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
What's your secret to happiness?
Well, you know, I'm supposed to be asking the questions
Oh,
here.
sorry.
You know, I think that's a complicated question, as you know. And but if I were to answer that simply, I think it's really about having your priorities right. You know, and this all starts with God, and then your family, and then it, you know, I think if you can keep your work in check and not let it, because it's so easy to let it just sort of overtake all those other areas.
Absolutely.
And if you can stay grounded and be around people, I think there's I think one of the things you just mentioned is really important, is analyzing quickly, you know, when you screw up, and then making that adjustment quickly and moving forward, staying on your path, you know. But you got to know what your path is, right?
Right.
And so it sort of boils down to that, you know, what is your main goal, and make your main thing the main thing.
I heard it said recently that there's a big difference between doing something you're ashamed of and living in shame.
Yeah.
And I think making that distinction is powerful.
Expound on that just a little bit.
Well, I think people are in general, we confuse ashamed from shame. Ashamed is, well, I did something bad. Okay, I'm ashamed of that. I can correct it. I am bad. That's hard to correct until you really go back and do the deep cleaning, so to speak, of your history of your life, and learn, where did I start to feel that I was not good enough, or I was broken, or I was disconnected from God. What happened in that process? There's an author called Gabor Mate who wrote a book called In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, and he's a Canadian Indian man who was in the Needle District in Vancouver, Canada. And he wrote probably the finest book on unmet needs that I've read. And he and Brene Brown and some others have really made the distinctions clearly recently between shame and being ashamed and moving and wholehearted living. That people who live in the past live in the past.
Yeah.
They're not pioneers. And I want to be a pioneer. I want to make a difference. I can make money. You can make money. But making a difference, that's much harder to do.
So where do you see yourself? What's your life going to be like in 4, 5, 6, 7 years?
I think I'm going to be healthy. I am wealthy. I think I'll be a contributing force to the culture shift from opioids and drugs that are killing people to drugs that make a difference. I think my children will have a destiny and have a future that is beyond them right now. I am putting into place some leadership stuff with my son that I'll be finishing up in probably 5 years. I would love for him to be a game changer, and that takes specific teaching. So I want to have time with my family. I want to have time with my wife. I love her dearly. And in order to do that, I've got to make some money, but also I've got to be healthy and vibrant. That's what I want to be, spiritually, healthy and vibrant.
Sort of like you know, when you get on an airplane and they talk to you about the oxygen mask that comes down. You've got to put that on yourself first, right, so that you can help others.
That's right.
If you don't take care of yourself first. So
that's right.
That's a really good point, I think.
And having health challenges, my perspective is much more today than it's been. If I'm living in the past, I can't do much about that. If I'm living in the future, I'm going to get fearful because I can't control that.
Right.
But if I'm living in the present, I'm fully awake, fully present. That's the challenge.
So you just had this stroke 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And here you are already in another state in such a short period of time. But what was it like when you had that? I assume you woke up in a hospital bed somewhere.
No, I was having dinner with a mentee, I don't know what you call it, mentoree,
Yeah.
that I coach, and I got up from dinner and I couldn't walk. I had no idea I was having a stroke. I went to the hospital and they gave me a drug called TPA, which is a clot-busting drug, and I couldn't move my legs and I couldn't move my right arm, and I couldn't swallow. I've had to relearn to swallow, which, if you're hearing me slur a bit, it's because my speech isn't fully back. But I've made progress. I can now walk. I can now move my arm, and I'm talking to you, so my language is starting to come back.
Yeah.
What it feels like is when when you fall asleep, your arm falls asleep.
Sure.
Imagine the right side of your body falling asleep.
Wow.
There's no pain. It's just you have total weakness. You have no ability to control, and you just feel asleep.
What went through your mind? Did you think about dying, or maybe it was your time?
Yeah, I was very afraid of it. Yeah, I wasn't cavalier about it. I was afraid of it. I love my family, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it through. It's new ground for me.
Yeah.
I learned that my grandfather had multiple strokes.
Wow.
So it's something that I have a genetic marker to that I need to be careful of. The other thing is I'd like in 5 years to be stress-free, and that's important to me.
That's important to your health for sure.
Yeah.
What did you make any major decisions, any changes that you were going to make in your life after the stroke?
No, because I don't have high blood pressure and I don't have high cholesterol, and I do no drugs. I do no things like drinking or drugging or smoking or any of that stuff. What I did decide was that I was going to work out with a trainer full time.
Oh.
So I'm hiring a trainer. I have him now 3 days a week. I'm going to hire him 5 days a week to work on my diet, specifically because of greens. I want to put more greens, aloes, turmeric, cayenne in my diet. But then I also want to get my body back. I want to be 100% back.
Yeah.
I don't want to be disabled with my kids still vibrant. I have such empathy for people who are disabled now. Having walked with a walker,
Yeah.
I find all the cracks in the sidewalk that I never even knew existed. But when you walk with a walker, you're hitting every one of them. And I thought, I don't want to do this. If I can fix it, I want to. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're making some lemonade out of those lemons, huh?
I think that's the only thing you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we only have about 2 minutes left, and let me just sort of finish with this, if you would. I'm sure your lovely wife and your 2 kids are going to be watching this show. And one last thing, what would you like to tell them?
I love you dearly. The man I'm becoming is better than the man I've been.
Wow.
I love God, and I know you guys do too.
That's
great.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, just thanks so much for being here. It's
My
just
pleasure.
great knowing you, and great getting to know you, and can't wait to see what happens to you in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Good
It's going to be
things.
fabulous, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
good
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week, same time, same station. Bye-bye, everybody.